So, influencers having beef with each other isn't exactly anything new, right? We see it happen all the time. Because there's nothing that an internet celebrity loves more than being publicly messy online. We all know about at least one public blowout, but, well, some feuds are bigger than others, and it looks like we've got the next big one on our hands. Austin McBroom and Bryce Hall have been publicly beefing for months, with tensions building pretty quickly on both sides. After months of back and forth and talk of how much the prize money would need to be, Keemstar himself finally confirmed the fight would be taking place after all in a drama alert video.
Are you thinking about accepting it yet?
Oh yeah, no, I am accepting it. He met my requirements, so.
In that same video, he also confirmed that other big stars like Deji, FaZe Jarvis, Taylor Holder, and Danny Duncan would be taking part in the same event. Now, let's just backtrack a little bit and take a look at how this whole thing started, because for a lot of people, this probably looks like it came out of nowhere. Well, back at the end of 2020, there were rumors of the Paul brothers maybe doing another series of boxing matches after the first did so well, and Austin made it pretty clear that he wanted to get involved. He made a couple of posts on Instagram challenging several other big-name YouTubers to a match, and in one post, he tagged Jake Paul himself, saying it would be disappointing if he couldn't get in on the action. He even offered $5 million in prize money for anyone who took him on and won. Jake Paul obviously didn't take him that seriously because there was no public response to that challenge, but who knows what might have been said behind closed doors. A couple of weeks later in early December, Austin took to Instagram again, but this time he had a slightly different approach. In a post that he's now deleted, he tagged both of the Paul brothers as well as Bryce and tried goading them into responding to his second challenge. In a move that would quickly become a go-to response for him, he accused Bryce of being a coward. He said that Bryce was only coming up with excuses to avoid fighting him, and that, "I heard all your excuses, you ain't built for this. I'll let you keep ducking." He then finished the post with a taunt aimed at all three of them by using the hashtag #DuckSeason and some duck emojis. It's pretty clear that none of the people he tagged in that post were taking him very seriously at that point. Logan joked about it, commenting, "Did you get any muscles with that shirt?" under the post. Jake, once again, didn't respond at all. And Bryce did what pretty much everyone on Instagram does when they have a problem. He reposted Austin's post on his own Instagram story and captioned it with, "Shut up." So that's pretty much how everything started. There's some speculation that Austin was just looking to get some kind of attention from some of the bigger names on social media, which is something that every influencer does, right? It's not that weird, and a lot of people either do collabs or start beef with other well-known creators to get their name out there. As the saying goes, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Well, it seems that things didn't exactly go the way Austin had hoped, because after the initial blowout on Instagram, things kind of settled down again. At least they seem to for Bryce Hall. The cheating allegations that were aimed at him after a trip to Las Vegas in February 2021 have certainly kept him busy anyway. So he really didn't say anything about this entire situation until early March, and the only thing he said then was that he wasn't interested in fighting Austin unless the price was right. With a supposed $5 million already on the table, we have to wonder just how much would have been enough for him to accept. Austin, on the other hand, is a whole other story. Even without an official response from Bryce, it seems like that first "shut up" comment and the rejection of a fight in general is something that Austin took pretty personally. From late December of 2020 through March to 2021, he was constantly up in Bryce's business. He tagged Bryce a couple more times on his Instagram story and quoted him on Twitter, trying to goad him into giving in to this fight that he clearly wants to have. Now, while all this was going on, Bryce was super quiet and never publicly responded to any of the taunting. After the first time he told the paparazzi that he wasn't interested in fighting Austin, he didn't mention the situation at all for a while. Which, has kind of resulted in a ton of backlash for Austin. The lack of a real response from Bryce, plus the almost 10-year age gap between the two of them, has left a ton of fans feeling like his behavior is super childish. It's led to a lot of speculation over why exactly Austin chose to target Bryce Hall of all people the way that he has. If it was just a way of gaining attention and getting more people to check out his YouTube content, then why didn't he have this kind of reaction to the Paul brothers? Logan Paul openly mocked him a lot worse than Bryce did at first, so why not go after him instead? In an interview with The Hollywood Fix at the beginning of March, Austin went into detail about why exactly he wants to fight Bryce so badly. He told reporters that a lot of people keep asking, why him, right? And to be honest, I really just don't like the kid.
So a lot of people keep asking, why him, right?
Right, why?
And to be honest, I really just don't like the kid.
He then went on to explain that the real reason he has such a grudge against Bryce in the first place was because of this whole YouTuber versus TikToker boxing event. According to Austin, out of the 12 people that were in talks to take part, the only person who hadn't signed any kind of deal was Bryce. Now, Bryce obviously has some pretty strong opinions about this entire situation himself, and seems to think that the real reason Austin's been so persistent about fighting him is because of the attention he's getting. He finally broke his silence after Austin spoke to reporters and started talking to the press himself about what's been going on. In an interview with Kevin Wong, he made it pretty clear how he felt about Austin's actions, saying that, "This guy just called me out because he wants clout. I get it."
This guy just called me out because he wants clout. I get it.
But what do you guys think? Has Austin been acting super childishly this whole time? Or is he right in calling Bryce a coward? So, at this point, we've got a situation where no one's really sure about what's happening, right? Everything's kind of unclear, and even though they're talking about what's going on behind the scenes, there's still no real clarity on whether the fight will actually happen. And for a while, it seems like maybe things will just blow over, and we won't ever end up getting the match at all. But we wouldn't be here right now if that's what ended up actually happening. See, something obviously changed for Bryce after Austin's The Hollywood Fix interview, and he's become pretty vocal about his side of the feud. And like pretty much every other celebrity with a problem, he takes to Twitter a lot to let his followers know exactly how he's feeling. This ended up being the catalyst that reignited this whole argument between them, and is the reason why there was so much buzz surrounding them from the end of February onwards. Things continued to amp up in March when Bryce tweeted out screenshots of a text conversation between himself and Austin. In the text, we can see Austin trying to get Bryce to agree to the fight, once again calling him a coward for refusing in the first place. What's really interesting here is that Bryce even mentioned this conversation in the first place, after months of ignoring Austin's public taunting. What exactly was it that made him decide to speak out this time? This happened before Austin's interview with The Hollywood Fix, and the messages here were no different than the things Austin had already been saying online. What was it about this conversation in particular that made Bryce say anything? We may never know the answer to that, but what we do know is that since then, the two have been taking constant potshots at each other across social media. Austin immediately responded to the original tweet with one of his own, once again accusing Bryce of running away from him. Bryce then clapped back with, "You know my terms. This isn't 2016 anymore, bud. I'm not fighting for the same amount as you." And this seemed to be the crux of Bryce's issue with taking part in this event in the first place. It's clear from this and other comments he's made that he thinks he's worth more than Austin is. He told reporters that the reason he refused the offer at first was because Austin had only offered $2 million. The $5 million that Austin had included in his original posts had apparently never been the legitimate number. Austin apparently took this seriously enough to have some kind of official contract drawn up, though. A week after his initial tweet, Bryce posted a screenshot on his Instagram story, showing that he is now being promised the $5 million he wanted. He then followed it up with a tweet on the same day saying, "Congrats Austin McBum for finally getting my attention." That same week, the official lineup for the boxing event dropped, with Austin and Bryce's match being the headline act. Over the course of March, both guys kind of fell into typical hype tactics. You know the kind. A lot of gym selfies, and Bryce has made a couple of tweets trying to psych Austin out. And you know, just from the kind of general reaction since the announcement, it's looking like this beef really isn't going to be going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, it's probably just going to get worse. It stands to reason that as they get closer to the match, the more these guys are going to start hyping themselves up even more than they already have. One thing's for sure, this isn't going away anytime soon. But who do you guys think will win?